The First Time I Ever Saw Your Face by Roberta Flack. I know the song from the Clint Eastwood film Play Misty for Me, but that's another song. I was lucky to hear Roberta Flack sing the first time I ever saw your face at an outdoor concert on a hot summer evening in a Park District bandshell in Rockford, Illinois. Roberta ended her concert with this song, and it truly hung in the air and transformed the moment and the place. I'm not sure who wrote this song or who first performed it, but like many works, it's often about who performs it or orchestrates it in the best way that makes it a superior piece. Is this a form of plagiarism? Perhaps. But if it makes for a glorious moment and an opportunity to see the face of God in the ordinary things, well, then that's the best kind of plagiarism imaginable. Welcome. Welcome to Sunday Coffee Hour. I'm Stanley Smith. At Sunday Coffee Hour, we talk about everything and nothing. This Sunday, we talked about the Fitz downgrade, the movie Play Misty for Me, Mary McLeod Bethune, and having an impersonal assistant. The readings at Washington National Cathedral were from Exodus. Moses comes down from the mountain twice to give us the commandments. And from Peter, no scripture or prophecy is a matter of one's own perception because it's about God's perception. The gospel reading was about the transfiguration, and they saw his face. It was transformed and dazzling. At Washington National Cathedral, the sermon was by Dana Casello. Dana preached about God's glory. Dana said she's always on the lookout for God's glory, but sometimes it's hard to see. Even though we profess God's glory in our doctrine and creeds, none of us really know what it is. Moses had to come down the mountain twice to bring us the replacement tablets because none of us understood that he was bringing us the gift of glory and not a moral code. We can reflect this glory in our countenance even when things aren't going so well because we can be grateful for living in the glory and not having to live by a moral code. At St. James Cathedral, the summer youth group joined the service. It was a group of young and anxious people. I was struck by the idea that from the young people's perspective, we probably looked like accomplished and assured group, but in fact, we're probably just an older group of anxious people. Pastor Chris engaged the young people with a rose and thorn review of their time at St. James. Chris pointed out the obvious fact that you can't have a rose and thorn experience unless you're here. And from St. James' perspective, it was a glorious thing to have the young people with them here. Chris said God has created us to reflect his image in our own unique way, even when it's not going so well. Nobody should discount our physical existence because apparently it takes a lot of energy to incarnate into this life, forming bones and a body, and then being born, living and surviving. Later, earning a living and finding our way in the world. And then apparently on top of all that, we're actually supposed to do something. Wow. I've been contemplating the story about the wheat and the weeds that's been read the last couple of weeks in church and how that all goes together. Who is the wheat and who are these weeds? In church, we were told just to let them all be, let them all grow together and let God worry about it. Also, the sentiment that we all have our season in God and our season not in God. It's very likely we're sometimes more like the wheat and other times more like the weeds. In politics and world discourse, we can see that it's often two sides of the same coin, losing our rights, freedom, self-autonomy, and free speech due to the other side. We blame one side and lift up the other as the good. There's a mirroring back and seeing reflection looking back at us. It's the wheat and the weeds looking back at each other. Apparently, we're all shapeshifters, trading places with each other because, in fact, we're probably sometimes the wheat and sometimes we're the weeds. We all have our season in God and our season not in God. It's it's okay. But the interrupter in all this is a third player in the story, the one who stirs the pot with the mechanisms of power, money, and control. You need to listen very closely to hear and to see exactly who that is. The Book of Order says the congregation must be addressed in the colloquialisms and language that speaks to them. It's one side of the same coin, and they can relate to it, but it's the same coin. Some hear it as political, and others just hear it as that they are the wheat. Both are probably deceived, but it moves the narrative along, and it provides an opportunity to pass the collection plate. Where do we see the glory of God in all that? No wonder Dana sometimes has a hard time seeing it. I think that's why I found seeing the kids at St. James so encouraging. The music at St. James is sublime, and the kids were nervous and fidgety. They didn't even notice it, but I noticed it. I noticed how glorious the music was for them on their behalf. These kids they aren't the wheat or the weeds because, well, they're just kids. At Sunday Coffee Hour, we did talk about the difference between orchestration and performance and how that can make or break a piece. The first time I ever saw your face is from the film Play Misty for Me. It's a story about a violent obsession, and it doesn't end well. It ends with actress Jessica Walters ending up falling through a balcony railing and falling onto the rocks of the crashing ocean waves far, far below. Play Misty for Me is a story, and the first time I saw your face is another one. Play Misty is from the film and having a choice between a violent obsession and a passionate love affair. In the Transfiguration, the disciples saw the face of Jesus, and they had a choice of obsessing about it or basking in the glory. Given the choice between the violent obsession and the passionate love affair, I guess I'll go with the passionate love affair because it's where we're most likely to find love, and it's the place we'll see God's glory. If you would like to join us at Sunday Coffee Hour is every Sunday at 12 noon Central Time on Zoom. I will include my email in the description of this video. I'll be happy to send you an invitation. And I look forward to seeing you. I look forward to seeing your face very, very soon.